Ever wondered how to make a delicious eggless cake? Well, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll delve into the art of baking a cake without eggs. You might be a vegan, allergic to eggs, or simply prefer not to use them. Whatever your reason, baking an eggless cake doesn't mean you have to compromise on taste. We're going to take you through a simple process that will result in a cake so delicious you won't believe it's eggless. Today, we will demystify the process of making an eggless cake. To create an eggless cake, you'll need to gather a few specific ingredients. First off, you'll need all-purpose flour. This is the foundation of our cake, providing structure and texture. Next, we have baking powder and baking soda, which will help our cake rise and give it that fluffy consistency we all crave. You'll also need sugar for sweetness, of course, but also for moisture and tenderness. Then we have milk, which will add richness and help create a smooth batter. Vinegar is another key ingredient. It reacts with the baking soda, helping our cake rise even more. Don't forget about butter, which adds a lovely depth of flavor and tenderness. And finally, we have vanilla extract. This will give our cake a beautiful aroma and a subtle, sweet flavor that complements the other ingredients. Remember, using high-quality ingredients is key to making a delicious cake. With these ingredients at the ready, we can begin the baking process. The first step in creating our eggless cake is to prepare the batter. A harmonious marriage of flavors and textures, this batter forms the foundation of our cake. So let's roll up our sleeves and get started. We kick off this process with the dry ingredients. Into a large bowl, we'll sift together 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1½ cups of sugar, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a pinch of salt. Sifting not only combines these ingredients, but also aerates them, ensuring our cake will have a light and fluffy texture. Now, let's turn our attention to the wet ingredients. In a separate bowl, we'll combine 1 cup of milk, ½ cup of neutral oil like canola or vegetable, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract for that extra oomph of flavor. If you're wondering about the missing eggs, worry not. The combination of milk and baking soda we're using will give the cake its rise and structure. Once we have our dry and wet mixes ready, it's time for the magic to happen. We'll gradually add the dry mixture into the wet, stirring continuously. This step requires a bit of patience and a steady hand, but it's essential for avoiding lumps and achieving a smooth batter. As we stir, we'll notice the batter becoming thicker and smoother, a sign that we're on the right track. In the world of baking, consistency is key. So we'll keep stirring until our batter is as smooth as silk, with no dry flour visible. It's a bit like a symphony, where all the ingredients play their parts to create a harmonious whole. And voila! Our cake batter is ready. It's a perfect blend of sweet and savory, with a creamy texture that promises a delectable cake. The aroma of the vanilla, the sweetness of the sugar, and the subtle hint of salt all combine to create a tantalizing teaser of the treat that's to come. Once the batter is smooth and well mixed, we can move on to the next step. Stay tuned as we transform this humble batter into a mouth-watering eggless cake. Now that the batter is ready, it's time to bake our cake. First off, we need to set the stage for our cake to come to life. That means preheating the oven. You'll want to set your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. This is a standard temperature for baking cakes, and it ensures that our eggless cake bakes evenly and rises properly. While our oven is getting all warmed up, let's turn our attention to the cake tin. It's essential to grease it generously to ensure our cake doesn't stick. You can use a bit of oil, butter, or a non-stick cooking spray for this. Just make sure every nook and cranny is covered, as we want our cake to slide out easily once it's done. Now, it's showtime for our batter. Carefully pour the batter into the greased cake tin. You'll want to spread it evenly to ensure a uniformly baked cake. Once that's done, it's time to put our cake in the oven. Remember, patience is key here. Our cake will need about 25 to 30 minutes to bake to perfection. But how do we know when it's done? Well, there's a simple trick. Grab a toothpick and pierce the cake in the center. If it comes out clean or with just a few crumbs, your cake is done. If it comes out with wet batter, it needs more time. But remember, baking is not a set it and forget it kind of deal. Keep an eye on your cake as it bakes. You're looking for a beautiful golden brown color. If the top is browning too quickly, you can loosely cover the cake with aluminum foil to prevent it from burning. Once your cake has achieved that perfect golden brown hue, remove it from the oven. But don't be too eager to dive in. After baking, it's crucial to let the cake cool completely before we add our finishing touches. Trust me, it'll be worth the wait. Our cake is baked and cooled. Now, we can add some finishing touches to make it even more delicious. So let's talk about the cherry on top, the final flourish, the piece de resistance, the finishing touches. These could be anything from a simple dusting of powdered sugar to a rich, creamy frosting, or even a glossy sweet glaze. Remember, this part is all about personal preference and how you want your cake to look and taste. If you're a fan of powdered sugar, it's as easy as taking a sieve and lightly dusting the top of your cake. It adds a subtle sweetness and gives your cake a snow-kissed look. For those with a sweet tooth, a frosting might be the way to go. There are plenty of options to choose from, like buttercream, cream cheese, or even chocolate ganache. It's a decadent touch that not only adds flavor, but also gives your cake a professional, bakery-style finish. If you're looking for something a bit lighter and less sweet, a glaze could be your best bet. A simple sugar glaze or a zesty lemon one can add a shiny finish and a bit of tanginess to balance the sweetness of the cake. Remember, these finishing touches are optional. The cake in its pure form is already a delicious, moist, and completely eggless delight. But adding these extras can elevate it to a whole new level of yumminess. And there you have it, a delicious, moist, and completely eggless cake. Enjoy!